In this video, we're going to have a look at the UX that's created from the template called Edit Account for Existing User. In this particular UX, an ID is assigned in OnDialog Initialize. Normally, you change that and get the ID or the username, the user ID from another component or maybe a variable. But we're going to make changes to this default UX in order to make it 100% standalone for administrators who want to just access a user ID easily and make changes to that user ID. Let's go and have a look at the component itself. Here we are, and we'll go ahead and run this. So what we've got here is we've added a drop-down called Select User, and that drop-down is getting its information from this security table, the default security table called Web Security Registered Users. So we'll select that, and then we go ahead and we grab all the information from the other table, Web Security Users, and the Groups table. You can see this is already populated. The groups have already been populated into the UX, and the drop-down on change event fires off an AJAX callback, which goes ahead and gets the security information as well and populates. There's a hidden control in here that gets the GUI ID, so the IDs are handled, and we can make changes to this UX and save them, and everything will be okay. I've made a change here from the radio control to a checkbox, because the radio control allows one group per user, but the checkbox control allows multiple groups. Although I haven't made that the change to save this information, I haven't put that code into this UX. This is just an example of something else that you can do. So let's go and have a look at this this UX. Generally, here's our drop down. There's on change event, which makes an AJAX callback, and go ahead and have a look at its server-side stuff. OnDialog Initialize gets called. You can see we've commented out the ID stuff here. We don't need it, but the user roles we still need. We want to still get those and populate those when the dialog first gets initialized and the UX first gets run. Now normally you'd have two action scripting items in here, one for load user and one for load security. Those aren't there any longer, but I did generate the code and copy that code first. And just a quick look at how you generate the code. So after dialog initialize, there's a couple of items that I've not changed. So, but in order to get the code for these items, you just place your cursor on the action, go to action scripting, and then convert to XBasic. Then I took all that XBasic from those two OnDialog initialize scripting items, and I copied them into my get user info callback, and that's what this is from this point on. I added this line in here, dimension ID, as C, and we're getting that information from the drop-down user. So now we've got our email address or our user ID, whatever it's going to be. And from this point on, once again, this is our generated code. This is exactly the code that Alpha runs until we get down to this part. Down here. OnDialog Initialize normally will return e.javascript to execute all the JavaScript information or the code that this script generates, but we can't use e.javascript. We must return it into the AJAX callback name. So we just add this line in here, get user info, which is our callback function, and we just assign it the value of e.javascript. So we're returning all this information exactly the same way that Alpha does. So that's the load user code, and then the load security code, scripting code, follows here, and this is where we do our mapping to get our username and user password, the user roles, the GUI ID comes through, all this code runs, and then this this code runs get users with dialog, which takes all the information that we've created that's been put into RTC and it assigns it to E. Well, the major part here is that E.control actually gets created and filled with the values for username and user password, all that stuff. So in onDialog initialize, that's fine because e.control is used to initialize controls with default values. So that's what pops up when the UX first gets run. But we can't use e.control. So we're going to take all the values from e.control and we're going to rearrange them or just reassign them to e.underbar set. And what it's then the control values, and then of course the string dot value, because e dot underbar set dot, for example, user password dot value is what we would use in a callback to set the value for control. So once again, we take all the stuff from e dot control and just put it into e dot underbar set. And that's it for the added control. That's just down to this part. So those are the few lines that get added in this one. And then we here e.javascript is being assigned normally to e.javascript, but we have to change that to assign it to our callback function name. And those are the changes made to the that second script for load security. And I think that's about it. So we've added our drop down, we've added our code. Our code gets called when we select a user ID, and yeah, that's it, I think. So once again, we get a blank UX pulled up. You can see our user roles are populated, so that's great. We've got all our user roles coming out. We select a user ID, the information comes forward, everything's populated properly. We can make a change and save it, and everything flows through properly. So thanks for having a look, and I think this is a really good example of the open processes that Alpha allows us to get at. If it's not doing something exactly the way you want it to, you can, in this case, generate code in order to make slight modifications to the code that it's running, which is really powerful, I think. Thanks for having a look.